All right, welcome back, guys. I'm Andre Thompson, the Privileged Bow Hunter. Today we're gonna go through how to level your first, second, and third axis on your sight, okay? I'll be using a Montana Black Gold. I want you all to really pay attention, and I want you to take these steps because you can apply it to your setup. I don't want you all skipping your third axis, second axis, first axis if your sight has it, and just saying that's good enough, okay? Here at the Privileged Bow Hunter, we don't do that. We don't say, oh, it's good enough or close enough. We take everything to the next level as best as we can. We pride ourselves on literally doing our best at everything. Same way we do on our job, same way we do as husbands or wives or as fathers, as mothers, okay? We take that same zeal for excellency and we apply it to our hobbies and our passions, okay? This will allow a few different things that we'll go through into the video. But before we get there, I need y'all to do a couple things for us, okay? I want you to like, I want you to comment, and I want you to subscribe. Maybe tap a buddy, send it to a buddy, Facebook, Instagram, however you get it out there to your friends and family. Share this, okay? Because I guarantee if you don't learn from it, I know you got somebody else that we can help. If we can't help them now, maybe we can help them in the future, okay? All right, thank y'all. Let's go. Before we even talk about the axes, I want to talk about the dovetail. Make sure if you have a sight that you can adjust it in or out, that you really find the best setup for you, okay? To just keep it simple, I know there's some different levels that you can do to take it out depending on how you're torquing your hand. I got you. But for ease of use, and just keep it simple and basic, I want you all to either adjust this out or back in depending on how your sight picture is with your peep sight, to your sight housing, right? To your actual bubble there and that the sight ring that you have. So peep and sight ring should make perfect circles. They should overlap perfectly. There should be no gap. Now, if it's just not a fine enough adjustment to get it perfectly, at least adjust it to its, super close. Understanding that the further out you have your sight housing from your eye, you're gonna kind of see a little bit more movement than you're used to. The further in, you're gonna see less movement, and then you're also gonna have a bigger pin gap. So take all those factors in, play with it, but please don't ever say, hey, that is good enough or that's close enough, because that may be the difference between you walking away with that animal of a lifetime or heading back home, because it was close enough and perfect conditions at the archery range when it's 70 degrees, no wind. But when there's all these different factors and the human element comes into it, you want your equipment perfect, okay? So that's first. Okay. So we're about to get into the first axis. Your sight may not have it, your sight may have it. If you do, this is how you're gonna adjust it. You need to get a level and you need to attach it to the string, okay? And then you're gonna take some type of bubble leveling device that you can attach to this rail system. Me, I'm using the Hamskea Easy Third Axis Level. You just literally attach it right there, okay? I take my bow vise and I adjust it left and right until I get this bubble here that's on the string perfectly in the center, okay? Once I get that in the center, then I can go ahead and attack this rail system. So this is in the center, this is in the center. One little piece of advice I can give you if you're doing this yourself, I marked my bow vise. So this bow vise is micro adjustable, but what I would find is if the bubble was off to the right a little bit or off to the left, I would adjust this handle the wrong way. For whatever reason, I couldn't keep in track in my mind if I needed to run the bubble to the right, if I should turn the handle to the right or left. So I just simply drew an arrow on there and marked the L for, hey, turn this way if you need to move your bubble to the left. And then obviously it's gonna be the opposite if I need to turn my bubble to the right, okay? So just a little tip, you can do it if you need to, or if you're just way smarter than me, you don't need it, then don't do it, okay? So now we're at the rail. So we're gonna do, I'm not gonna do it for y'all because I already set mine up perfect and I don't wanna deal with this again. But you're gonna loosen this screw here. You're gonna loosen this one just enough, so top and the bottom one, just enough to get some play in the system. After you get a little bit of play in the system, verifying that nothing moved here on that bubble that is on your string, you're going to adjust this set screw. When you turn this set screw either way, what it's gonna do is it's gonna move that rail that your sight moves up and down on is either gonna cant it left or right. You're gonna adjust it. Don't go too far. If you have to do, I can't remember the certain amount of turns, I'll put it in the description. But if you have to go too far, then something's wrong with what you got going on. And a lot of times what you can do, if you take this part, these two parts apart, you can find a little bit more adjustment in here to get you squared away. So you get it, you turn that set screw until that bubble is perfectly level. Once you get that there, you're gonna lock these back down. I do a little bit at a time on the bottom, then a little bit on the top, because I found that if I try to tighten the bottom too much, then it may cant the whole thing left or right, and then I'll be chasing my tail, okay? So just like if you were tightening any other screws down, you know, you don't just crank one down and then go to the other one. You work them, work it back and forth until you get it perfect, okay? First sight is simple and plain, it's easy just like that, okay? So next we got our second axis. This one's pretty simple. It's hard to mess this one up. Once you got first axis perfect, obviously keep your string level on here. You don't necessarily need to keep the second axis level or on there. I'm just not gonna bother with removing it, but there's literally just two screws that you can loosen. It'll give you a little bit of play on your sight ring because your bubble is attached to the sight ring on this Montana Black Gold Pro sight. You just adjust that till it's perfectly centered and you're done. That's it, super easy. Then be smart though. If you change the tire, you already know there's a torque pattern to everything. You don't just crank one down and then go to the next one and then you're wondering why things ain't lining up properly. A little bit, be patient with it, crank it down a little bit, go to the next one, crank it down a little bit. I understand some of y'all may be mechanics and mechanical engineers, so this is elementary to you, but a lot of folks, they're just starting off from archery and they don't have a mechanical background at all, okay? So second axis is done, simple, move on, okay? We're gonna go to our third axis next. So for the third axis, before you make your adjustment, what you're gonna need to do is come to full draw. As you can see over there, I got a plumb line, I got a plumb bob hanging. I'm gonna take my top pin and my bottom pin, and I'm gonna come to full draw, and I'm gonna line that top pin and that bottom pin on that line, okay? Now, the bubble should be perfectly centered. Okay, so my bubble is centered. So next what I'm gonna do, with those pins still on the line, I'm gonna aim down. Pin should still be, put the pins on the line again, and the bubble should remain in the middle. Then I'm gonna aim up. Bubble should be in the middle, pin should be in the perfect line, okay? So for me, I've already done this process. Pins were perfect, everything was level. Okay, so now I'll show you what to do though if you were having issues still. So what you do, you come back to your bow vise. All right, so next you got the third axis adjustment screw, which is here, where I got this Sharpie on. This is an adjustment screw, but before you turn this adjustment screw, on the other side, we'll get a different camera angle of, is a set screw. I'll throw some Sharpie on there and we'll make sure we throw it up on the screen so you're not confused. Loosen the set screw a little bit and then you'll be able to adjust that the third axis adjustment screw. So basically when you're looking down on the top of this sight, this should not be canted here or here, right? It should be perfectly flush. That way as it travels up, or when you're aiming up, that bubble stays in a perfect plane. It's not tricking you, right? Same thing when you go down. All of this stuff is important once again because we want to eliminate you being confused on whether you're just not shooting well or if it's your equipment. If you're confused on the two, you're leaving room for target panic, okay? For anxiety when you're shooting. Archery should be relaxing, a woosah moment. Woosah. You know what I mean? If you're confused because you didn't take the time to do these steps, it's just not going to be as enjoyable as it could. And that's why a lot of people, I believe, don't go through with it, and you see a lot of bows up for sale. Okay, so that's third axis adjustment. Okay, so we adjusted the third axis. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure, and this makes sense in my mind too, I'm pretty sure what I did was to adjust, to bring everything over to the right, I turned this screw, the adjustment screw, to the right. If I needed to bring this housing over to the left a little, then I turned it to the left. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I did. You shouldn't be cranking over a bunch on this. If you have to turn this more than like a quarter to a half turn, there is something wrong. Stop, because you'll probably back this all the way out, and now you got a whole nother world of issues, which I'm not gonna do a video on because I'm not taking my bow side apart like that to help you because you didn't listen. So please do not go too far with this, okay? All right, so at this point, you should be ready to sight in your bow, okay? You should be able to reach all the way out to 100 yards. You should be able to, as far as your accuracy level will let you go to, like your shooting ability will let you shoot to, you should be good. You should be able to shoot those uphills and those downhills. So all my goat hunters out here, it might explain maybe a miss or two or something like that, or if you're going to total archery challenge or tack or whatever you call it, that might explain some issues that you have on some of those steep terrain shots as well, okay? So overall, we've covered first axis, second axis, third axis, gave you a tip on how to adjust your bow vise if you have one. And then we also talked about how you should adjust in and out on your dovetail, okay? All of these things are gonna make you a better archer. Don't skip them, okay? Just like you don't skip broadhead tuning. Well, I hope you don't skip broadhead tuning. Don't skip setting up your sight properly before you go to sight in, okay? I want y'all to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I want you to share the channel with a friend or a family member, and take all these steps into account. Do everything with the spirit of excellency. Do everything perfectly, okay? James 4:17 says, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. All right, so if you know the broadhead tune and you don't, and you wound the animal, to you it is sin. If you know that you need to take care of your sight properly, but you put it off because you didn't want to make the trip to the island archer, or hit me up on Instagram or something to ask me to help you out, and you have a problem and you blow up an arrow, you miss a target and you lose an arrow and now you're out a couple dollars, or you wound an animal because it's a steep angle, right? If you know to do good and you don't do it, timid is sin. It's PRIVILEGED. I know you know how to spell bow hunter. That's all we got for you for today. Let's go.